Please join me in welcoming Joachim Trier.
Thank you so much. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for the lovely intro. Yes, I don't think there's any other film festival in the world that has invited all my films. And there's no other festival. Yeah, no applause for that. I'm super grateful. It means that this festival has kind of followed my life, my development, me and my gang who make these films. It means the world to me. I find that the audiences here are special. It's the kind of festival where I'm able to meet people, talk to people. The Q&As are always wonderful, so please don't disappoint me this time. And I'll try not to disappoint you. I feel we made a really personal film here, me and my gang. It's a film about humans, and I've been very, very fortunate with the cast. So I want to present you with some of my cast, and we'll be back with the Q&A after. But please, I want you to meet an actor ironically, even though she's young, feel that I've seen in movies for so many years, and so many good movies, and I'm so honored that she wanted to be in this one. Elle Fanning. I'd seen her in some roles, but working with her, I saw one of the best actors I've ever had the fortune of working with. And I'm so proud to introduce you to Inga Ibsdotter Lilleaas. A really close collaborator, someone that was one of the initiating elements in wanting to do the film you're about to see, a dear friend and a great collaborator, Renate Reinsve. And last but not least, I think one of the real classic in Nordic cinema, in world cinema, a great, great actor, and a lifelong dream came true when he was kind enough to say yes, after I begged him, Stellan Skarsgård. So, it's a film about home. And not always feeling at home in your home, but you're making us feel at home for sure tonight. Thank you so much. We'll see you after the screening. I really hope you like our film. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone. And we'll get some time to take some questions from the audience as well, but I'll get things rolling. I guess first of all, there's so much here. It is such a rich film. And I guess just for the starters, to talk to Joachim, just to talk about, where this began, and really, if there was an anxiety you maybe shared with Gustav, this idea that to make art does come with costs, and to think about those sort of moments where there's a sort of art-life balance, and maybe art is taking something from life in that way.
Thank you for the wonderful response. First of all, thank you. Where did it start? It's such a chaotic and scattered process, particularly to make this one. I know there were many pieces on the table. Eskil, Fucht, and I, when we write, we don't develop a lot of things. We do one film at a time. So after The Worst Person in the World, I had some ideas in my mind, but we met in a room. We knew one component was to want to work with Renate again. We knew there was a story about sisterhood. We knew that we wanted to talk about something about reconciliation and family. I think the fact that I had had a child since Worst Person in the World, and then as I finished, it turned out, the script, it turned out my wife was pregnant again, so I actually have now 2 daughters with exactly 3 years between them. And that gave me a responsibility that I'd written this rather slightly obnoxious director character, maybe thinking from the daughter's, sister's perspective, realizing as I was getting into actually making the film that I needed to walk in his shoes as well. And it's not only easy to be a father. So I think somehow I tried to figure out a subjective experience from a whole family and try to do a real ensemble piece, you know. And then it was all about, you know, finding these wonderful actors and getting it done.
And it's amazing. And also just to be back with Renate is incredible so soon. And I guess what would you really kind of greet this as a sort of very different thing than Worst Person? Was it very, I mean, was that part of the appeal for doing this, is that it was something else? And it was also an ensemble piece. It wasn't sort of maybe so much on your shoulders as the last film was.
Yeah, we actually started talking a little bit about the themes and traits of the character in Worst Person in the World. And she is more naive, and she hasn't figured out her choices yet, and Nora has really settled in life, and she carries a lot more emotional weight. And so kind of the seeds started there, and then you developed the script, and I was really nervous to read, now that you know me better, both as a person and an actor. But I think it's such a privilege to get into something even deeper with the trust that we've established now, and to go even deeper into, just being challenged in what that role is and what that is to carry that role,
And I guess going to Stellan, thinking about this character, this director, I mean, was this someone who you recognized, as someone you've worked with? I mean, or was it something that you think was very much a creation?
Of course, it's someone I recognize, but in terms of being an artist, not being a director. It's, and I myself have this problem, sort of reconciliating my passion for the work and my dedication to that it's not only that you are passionate about your work, you need your work to be you, and combine that with the family life.
Was it, I mean, I guess one thing I was curious about from all cast members, I mean, especially the business of sort of playing actors, you know, and there are always, I mean, sort of choices you're making to sort of, I guess, avoid some of the cliches of actors playing actors. I mean, and same with a filmmaker. You're playing a filmmaker. Were you sort of conscious of trying to making sure it was something different than what you'd seen before?
Well, I didn't play a filmmaker. I played a human being, so it wasn't a big problem. I mean, the technicality of having this profession doesn't sort of, is not the complicated process to portray that. It's, you tell the audience he's a filmmaker, okay, they believe it. Stupid.
And I guess the same for Elle, because it certainly could be a character who is, I mean, actually, right from the get-go, Rachel sort of defies a type that she may be, the way the world, you can tell that there's a way that the world sees Rachel Kemp, but this is not her. And was that sort of something that sort of a starting point for yourself, that this was someone who was eager to be seen differently?
Yes, yeah, I mean, I think I like what Stellan said of saying we're all playing a human being, but that was something that Joachim and we talked about, and we were very aware of wanting to make her this three-dimensional, and she is for sure someone who is longing to be seen for her talent, or she's longing to be seen by someone. And then Gustav, she feels like she really sees her, and we find her in a place where she's quite lost in her career, and she doesn't feel like she necessarily has the power to make her own decisions, and she makes that very bold choice to do this film that ends up being quite, she's in the middle of a very stressful family dynamic that she didn't, that she didn't know that she would be a part of, but then ultimately she learns so much about herself along the way and the journey, and grows so much from being in this experience and with Gustav. So, yeah, we didn't want to fall into the pitfalls of her being, you know, the Hollywood star, but there are elements of that, of course, that she has. So it was very fun to toe that line between it all.
Thank you. And I was thinking about Inga, and there's a moment early in the film. It's funny when sometimes you watch a film, and maybe you watch it a second or third time, and you're like, there's those moments like, oh, there's that moment. when Eric says, "I see you," and I was just thinking about how so much for me, how much the pain of Nora is that she's someone who, as a child, was seen by Gustav, but then stopped being seen. I just think that's something that I kind of really feels so much resonance late in the film about how she has to kind of, that's kind of the thing she has to carry. I mean, I was just thinking about that was something that was resonant for you.
All of the things you just said, if that resonated? Yeah. Yeah. I had to try to remember what you were talking about. Eric saying, I think that's a story, isn't it, that my husband in the movie tells? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what more to say than yes. Resonates. Yes.
Thank you. But yes, I have moments for you, the audience. I see you as well. I'll start over here and then come over here. Sure, go ahead. And I'll repeat the question so people can hear.
First of all, I want to say congratulations. Obviously, the Grand Prix prize at Cannes is a great honor and it's a great film. My question is about chemistry. So, you guys have phenomenal chemistry. It's one of the strong suits of this film. I just want to understand what that process was for you guys to come together. Did you spend a lot of time with each other, get to know each other on a personal level? Because it really does feel like a family. And I think that's like a testament to the director as well for the vision, because it really does capture that. So, and I also look forward to seeing this on Netflix. The IKEA plug wasn't me. So anyways, please comment on the chemistry.
I
Great
think
question about just about
yeah.
building chemistry for the film and how that happened. And we will see this on Netflix eventually.
I want to say that, yeah, you mentioned that this might be, that the chemistry between us might be in honor of what Joachim works, or how he works, and that's very true. So he does rehearsals, and it's a big part of his process and our process, and kind of have these big existential conversations, and he is a very intelligent and wise man, and the way he writes character. No, I didn't want you to say this. I say that. I'm saying this. And the way he writes characters, that they're so flawed and complex, but they're handled with so much care and love and nuance. So we sit down, we talk about this, and we have a break for a few days, and we talk again, and then everything starts like developing a little bit, and the relationship starts just like happening. And now it kind of, we have that chemistry, or like it's like stuck now between us.
We're a little bit sisters forever, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a capacity as well that these actors have, and I think a part of my casting process is trying to find people who I believe can communicate and trust each other, and it's my job to try to create a framework around it and to, try to inspire some sense of trust between us. It's all about trust, and then there are different phases. I mean, at the beginning, we do rehearsals, we talk about text, we share things, it's quite personal, and then by the time we reach set, it's actually, there's not so much intellectual conversation anymore. It's very instinctive and specific, and trying to solve things and explore, and perhaps do a few takes where we try to nail it and get it right, but then opening it up to what we call more jazz takes, where you riff off each other more. Maybe you have this secret urge that you don't dare tell me to drop a couple of lines that were a bit shitty, and it turns out we don't need them, and try to have that openness in it.
Thank you. There's a question over here.
So, House feels like another main character, and can you comment about the relationship between the performances and the directing with the house?
Talk about the relationship with the house between yourself and with the characters too.
It's true, it's a character. It's like we had to cast it. We saw 100 houses, and then it was a house up the street from where I live, actually. That ended up being the house. It's a sweet house. I think there was some idea quite early on about, if you're making a story about reconciliation, it's also a story about time in a family. So the house, this idea of Nora's character writing an essay, that I think, at least in Norway, we often get this thing in Norwegian class, the equivalent of English class, where pretend you're an object. And then Nora imagining to be a house you've seen these documentaries like a fly and an elephant has completely different perception of time? You know, one thinks the other is slow and the other way around. And we thought, okay, it's interesting to start the film with this idea that the house sees time and human endeavors quite differently. And that, you know, hey, here's another human getting born and getting married, having a kid, dying. You know, it goes pretty fast. And to set up a story about slowly these sisters understanding that they have limited time with their challenging father. And the other way around. I think that was a good framework thematically for it. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, I'll go right here back.
Hi. So first, Mr. Skarsgård, you're a very funny guy. Love you. Mr. Trier, you seem like a very musically minded kind of guy. And I'm just wondering, throughout the filmmaking process of all of your films, what is the musical mindset that you bring to it? How are you picking the songs that you're using to soundtrack these crucial moments?
Thank you so much. And I agree, Stellan is very funny. It's a fact. Yeah, no, thank you, man. I don't know. On one level, I wanted to be a musician. I got kicked out of 2 punk bands because I was a bad drummer. Still trying to get over that, trying to create a sense of ensemble and band spirit. But on a more deep kind of artistic level, perhaps, I do think music is a temporal art form like music. No, sorry, movies are like music in a way. And Eskil and I, when we sit and create a film, we kind of think that each set piece should be kind of a, I don't know, a hit song ideally on an album. And we listen to music, and I adore music, and I'm very happy to have, you know, we just came in here at the end and we're standing in the back. We're peeking out at you guys and we're hearing La Frey's wonderful music, and I feel like how blessed are we? And you know, Terry Callier opens the film if anyone is aware of his music, and you know, so a lot of this music we listen to while we're writing and we try to find a vibe, but ultimately I want the films we make to feel like music. There's something about when all the critique has settled and everyone has, you know, negotiated the quality of it. What was the vibe, you know? What was the feeling of movement and the temperament of it? And these very basic human perceptive experiences in a movie theater, you know? We're still going through the grief of losing David Lynch, who was the master of exactly that, as if his films were like, they had saturation of taste and smell and a sense of timing and musicality, the vibe of something, you know? And we don't talk enough about that in film. We often imply a literary vocabulary to try to describe what movies are, but some movies are also just about the light and the feeling and the vibe of people and stuff. So anyway, I think, you know, that's what we're yearning for.
Just got time for, oh, sure, you go ahead, please. Oh, sorry, in the hat. Yeah. A question about which was the most memorable scene to make and the most difficult one.
Anybody
Anyone
have a
want to
feeling?
say?
There were many. Thank you for the question. Any thoughts? We had fun in France, Elle.
Oh, did she ask me? No.
Oh, I don't know who.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody.
Anybody?
Oh, he asked me, yeah. Gosh. Well, I mean, the first scenes that I shot were in Deauville with Stellan on the beach during the night shoots, and that, I don't know, we got very close those nights, which had a great foundation for our scenes to come, and I learned how funny he was and how silly he was, which is very fun. And gosh, I mean, there were definitely a lot of challenging scenes, I think, for all of us, like emotionally. And this film is so, it just has this heartbeat. It's so personal to Joachim and Eskil, they wrote it together. And what's beautiful about Joachim is he invites all of us in those rehearsal periods we were talking about to add kind of your personal bits too that you can either express to him or you can keep secret. And so I felt like I was allowed to kind of be vulnerable and express those sides of myself that sometimes I don't feel so safe to do so, but because he's a director that allows that, you want to give it to him and you want to share as much emotion as you can. Yeah.
No, there was a lot of good experiences. I mean, we were allowed to film special places as well. You know, we were at the National Theatre, letting you have a panic attack backstage. This is a building in Oslo, not so unlike this, you know, where Ibsen did his, you know, first performances of several of his plays. And we also went with Inga to the National Archive, where all of our memory and history as a society is stored. So it's almost like the left and the right side of the brain with these two sisters. I thought that was exciting. One lives through the imagination and one through the facts, you know. And yeah, I hold that very dear. Also, being allowed to film in the National Archive, where all the records of the Second World War was kept. And I think that part of my family story and many people's family story in Norway is something we, as children, don't understand how close in time that was and how it has affected several generations. So I don't know. That was moving to be there, even though it was all about you, Inga, wonderful Inga, looking at paper. It moved me tremendously. Yeah,
It's
and I
almost
think
impossible to answer, because I feel all the scenes had so much to it. It's, yeah, the way Joachim works and the way we work together. We had like that one scene where we, on the bed, or where Inga's character comes with the script to Nora, and we end up there in a hug on the bed where our heartbeats actually started beating the same rhythm. It was like, it was very intimate and personal, the whole shoot. I feel we like opened up things the whole way. Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, Inga
You're
is also
talkative,
funny.
huh?
I think we have time for one more. And the person who, sorry, I have to go back to the person who nearly got the question in last time. Go ahead, please. A question about the editing and those abrupt shifts between scenes, which are so effective.
no, thank you. That's a very relevant question. I think I worked very closely with Olivier Bouguet-Coté, our editor, who I've actually met when I was like 21 in the first film school I went to, and we worked together since. He's a dear ally in this battle it is to try to structure something. I think there's a dichotomy in this film that we needed to be aware of and cautious of. We wanted there to be very, almost aggressively intimate, direct, emotional focus to really be with people in very tender and difficult moments. Yet, there needs to be space for the audience. There needs to be absences, ellipses, things that are left out for you to interpret, hopefully even identify with the characters. So it's not stuffed down your throat. And I think there's a formal element in the film where we're trying to do sort of chapters, going a little bit back to the musical question. Something ends for a moment, and we come back, and it's we're a little bit unsure of getting our footing in the story, and hopefully that opens up a space for interpretation and experience, which is not just seductive and fluid, but it has certain breaks. And I think it mirrors also the, maybe it sounds corny if I put it into verbal language, but the sort of sense of fragmentation of the story. It actually has a development of composition where it almost goes quicker and quicker. Towards the end, there's kind of a flow. But for a while there, we're jumping with far jumps between aspects of this polyphonic story of different characters and their experiences.
That's great. I was just thinking about the musical flow. It's kind of like your end of one track starts the next track. Back to CDs. Remember CDs? We used to do that. But I'm so pleased to be able to share this film and to have you here. Thanks again to all of you for being here too. Thanks again.